KZN, we're still at the Durban July.
The Vodacom Durban July is the biggest horse racing event in South Africa's calendar. But it's become more than just about horses here. Tourists come from all over the country and Southern Africa to be entertained and show off their best fashion. KwaZulu-Natal Tourism estimates that at least 40% of the 55,000 Vodacom Durban July attendees were tourists from outside the province. Hotels fill up in the city and visitors often have to make a plan to be housed elsewhere. KZN Tourism projects the economic impact to be in excess of 124 million rand. A further 50 million rand is expected to come from local visitors spending at the July.
Durban July has become such a phenomenal success for Durban economy, but broadly for the economy of KwaZulu-Natal, because the more than 60,000 people who have descended on Greyville today to be part of the spectacular Durban July race are not just contributing to bed and breakfast establishment in Durban, but even neighboring towns like Balito up to Potchefstroom.
Those with big pockets don't enjoy the races from the stands like everyone else. They pay loads to sit in marquees.
Each of those marquees is either a corporate marquee where some corporate company is putting on a fantastic experience for their guests. Many of them are hospitality marquees where people put on different levels of hospitality and then they sell off those tickets to various people. So each of them comes with a different cost and a different return. But clearly it's a very important event for us from a financial point of view. But it's also a very important event because it's the one event that every owner, trainer, jockey, groom, breeder, they all want to win this race, because this is the race that you want to win and you want to be able to tell your friends, I won the Vodacom Durban July.
A big part of the Durban July is fashion. This year's theme was posh, oh my gosh. The theme was to make sure that those attending came looking expensive.
It was again a way to draw people back to the classic, simple elegance and style of a bygone era. That doesn't mean that you have to wear vintage clothing, but we wanted people to arrive on race day looking beautiful, looking elegant, looking stylish. Men, we're encouraging them to wear tailored suits and actually take the time to dress beautifully. And I think it was really I think that was the real reason we went this route. It was to try and bring people back to that simple elegance.
The city's designers say the Durban July is unrivaled when it comes to marketing what they can do.
For me, an unparalleled platform for you to market your brand. The exposure you get is unbelievable, and I think it's such an integral part of an event. And you've got various people from different sort of business backgrounds, and just that exposure that you're getting in the media and to a captive market on the day, you couldn't buy that sort of exposure.
Those invited to showcase say it's scaling down to the required number of garments that was difficult, and posh required a lot of thinking.
For the Vodacom Durban July this year, I've used platinum as well as metallic pieces in my embroidery, which to me was very posh.
New designers are hoping the Durban July will give them the publicity some of those before them have received from this popular event. Some participate in the fashion challenge created for those that want to showcase their work, and others show off their abilities to industry as part of the Young Designers competition.
This garment had to have a hat and a garment and an outfit altogether that is according to the theme. So I went and did research on the Durban July, the actual race day, and other race day events such as Royal Ascot and Melbourne Cup, to find out what women actually wear at these events, and also find out about trends and other fashion trends out there to come up with that outfit.
On researching the brief and researching the word posh, I found that I couldn't find out the origin of the actual word posh and where it came from. There was always conflicting stories. So I began to look within Durban as a point of inspiration, and my concept became cultural melting pot. So I blended all cultures together to create almost a new type of posh.
The Vodacom Durban July receives a lot of sponsors. Organizers would not commit themselves to how they attract all those that choose this event to promote their brands. But it can probably be concluded that the event sells itself to sponsors because of the popularity of the July with the rich, young and trendy who are also not afraid to spend more than most to have a bit of fun and entertainment.
Rain can put a damper on things as it tried to do at this year's Fashion by the Sea event, which took place right here in Durban. But organizers would not be deterred as they restarted the event and allowed fashion designers from this city to be showcased on a 150-meter ramp.
Rain has led to the postponement of the Fashion by the Sea event in the past. It was not to be this time. Guests said, rain came, they ran for shelter. The same happened again and then organizers restarted yet again. It was then smooth for the next 2 hours. Fashion by the Sea is a 3-year-old event that showcases some of Durban's best established and new designers. It happens on one of the piers over the Indian Ocean, and the ramp connecting parts of the Moyo restaurant is the 150-meter-long pier, serving as Africa's longest runway. It's a vision organizers say seemed hard to pull off at first.
We dig deep. We have a great team of people that work together, from producers to hair, makeup, a lot of people that give up their time to make it happen. And also the city supports us, allowing us to do it on city property, the pier. So it takes a lot of negotiating, a lot of tap dancing and convincing people that it can be done, and with the risk of doing something outdoor, that it still is possible.
Every seat along the runway was full, with some of the attendees standing at the end of the pier, but Fashion by the Sea is still in need of more sponsors. At 3 years old, it's already visible that it's becoming one of the most popular fashion events in the city. Organizer Siphumelele, however, has a bigger vision of what it will be in future.
We wanted to make sure that we're doing something that is world-class, that stands head and shoulders with Fendi's show on the Great Wall of China or something iconic. So 150 meters over the Indian Ocean, how better could we do that?
Choosing a collection for such an event can be tricky for designers. Some here chose to show off the province's cultures while trying to add an international edge that can be on runways in other cities around the world. Mkize says his house of look focuses on menswear, even though he does have a few designs for women. His showstopper design on the night struggled to put her best foot forward as nerves were kicking in when the 15-year-old was modeling for the very first time in her life. Mkize is inspired by the training he received in Italy.
After touring and doing the internship in Milan, I realized that men's clothing is something that actually has not been tapped into a lot in South Africa, especially fitted garments. So that's what inspires me, and I want to be the next guy that makes amazing things for guys.
Durban is a seaside city with many beaches. It also gets the most domestic tourists in South Africa. As a result of this, Dex Martin and his team provide swimwear. They say it's important for one to understand the South African body shape when designing for clients.
Well, basically you need to have your key silhouettes. That's your initial thing that you need to keep in mind, as well as your prints and the type of bodies that you will be doing your silhouettes for. And of course it's got to be visually appealing and impactful.
Designers say events such as Fashion by the Sea help with getting their name out to the public.
It's all about brand awareness, so it creates a lot of brand awareness and less people who don't know about the brand find out where they can purchase it. So it's quite important.
As things wrapped, organizers could take a sigh of relief. Rain had given them a chance to finally hold this outdoor event, and they had showed off some of the best fashion talents in this city. Some feel the event will assist in the increase of fashion tourism to the city.
Your name is Kumba.
Showing a film at the Durban International Film Festival is a huge achievement for Africa's filmmakers. This is one of the biggest meetings of African filmmakers, funders and movie lovers on the continent. During the 10 days, which started on July 18 this year, films from all over the world have been showing in various venues in the Durban city centre and the outskirts of the city.
We have 72 features from around the world, 45 documentaries, a generous selection of shorts. And they really are some really amazing films. I've seen most of the films, but I haven't seen God Forgives, which Video Vision has very generously given us. They're the local distributors of the film. It's caused a lot of controversy at Cannes this year. It got booed, but then it kind of won Best Film, I think Best Audience Prize at Sydney. So I'm really excited to see that film.
The festival started 34 years ago and was only in one venue, the University of KwaZulu-Natal's Elizabeth Sneeden Theatre. Today, it is praised for contributing a lot to the Durban economy.
So, to host an event of this magnitude in this city, for us, it signifies Durban as a city that has all the infrastructure that could be required either by filmmakers or by people that are associated with filmmaking.
What has dominated headlines over the last week is the banning of the opening film of Good Report. Audiences here came to watch a movie and instead they got this.
I see it happen every single day. You can have your 16 days of activism, you can have your day of HIV awareness on the 1st of December, you can have your Women's Day, you can have your Youth Day, but these things are happening every single day.
South Africa's Film Publications Board said the film had child nudity. Producers and festival organizers deny this, saying the woman playing a minor who had sex in the film is 23 years old.
It's a beautifully made film, and while it is challenging in artistic terms, it's shot in black and white. It's about a serial killer. Its sound design is very intense and very intelligent. It never occurred to me that the sexual content of the film would challenge viewers in the way it would challenge anyone or offend anyone in the way that it clearly has with the Film Publication Board.
Apart from this, the rest of the festival seems to be continuing as planned. The Durban International Film Festival seems to pick up films with controversial topics, while Of Good Report touches on issues of a teacher who becomes obsessed with a school pupil. There is Nisisi.
Good morning, Kenya.
Nisisi has already had showings in Kenya, and the Durban International Film Festival was its first showing outside the country.
Film is a powerful tool of communicating to the people, and it should be used. People should be going out there and watching and buying films so that they can learn stuff.
At the Durban International Film Festival, Nisisi showed in an almost packed Ekaya multi-art center in the township of KwaMashu. It's a venue the director says was perfect for the showing.
It was fantastic. I mean, the audience here really loved it, and this was, for us, the best venue we could have wished for in which to launch the film. And it was the first time that Christine or I had actually seen the film with a non-Kenyan audience, and it was great to see how well people engaged. And some of the feedback I've been getting from the audience afterwards is extraordinary how much the story resonates here in South Africa, where the issues are very, very different.
There's also The Forgotten Kingdom, shot partly in South Africa and partly in Lesotho. It tells a story of a young man who returns to his family home in Lesotho after spending years living in South Africa. Another popular showing is African Metropolis. These are short films set in 7 African cities.
I've got wrong house. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Over 50% of Africans live in cities, and we need to start making films about the urban experience. Often when you think of African cinema, you think it's the woman with a calabash on her head in the village. It's very much this kind of rural, kind of peaceful existence, whereas cities are dynamic places. Cultures are changing very fast in cities. They're becoming more globalized, more connected. And we wanted to get away from that stereotype of Africa as exotic and look at this urban contemporary culture.
French actor Alexandre Desson, who appears in African Metropolis, says Durban has shown him a different side of Africa.
Wonderful. I want to stay more in Durban, but I only stay for 5 days, but it's really great.
African filmmakers gathering in Durban say they still struggle with funding, but despite this, they will continue telling stories relevant to Africa. And the Durban International Film Festival allows them to network and pitch future concepts to those with money.
I will.
That's all we have for you on today's episode of Eye on KZN. From me, Siphumelele Zondi, and the rest of the team right here at the Durban July. Have a good one.